In multiple anime, you have a premier villain that everyone could say this is the in-game villain. Although rarely are any of them really built up the way Sukuna has been built up, to the point where people forget how significant he can be sometimes to the plot in the story. And by the end of the series, he could be my favorite in the series. So, without wasting any time, let's talk about he is one of the best villains in anime and manga right now because of how well built up he's been so far and how impactful he could be whether outside in the world or stuck in Yuji's body. And that really plays part of like the story. So I like how Sukuna's been put in a situation to where he won't be spammed or used a lot. So when he's brought out, it's very significant and it's very important to what's going to happen when he's finished. And I think that's really dope. You really see that at Shibuya when he comes out and he finishes. Obviously, the carnage that he laid out against Yuji and what that did to Yuji, the shit that he did to Geto's followers, Jogo. And yeah, I think he did this in such a small amount of time. I don't think we have the time laid out, but I think he, in chapter wise, he did this within 10 chapters. And that's insane because it's like, just imagine if Sukuna was out more, it will make certain moments to me not hit as much because they will be used to it. So the fact that he's used in a way that's like, he can't be, like I said, spammed or continuously used because it makes his presence feel less impactful and less important. So I like that he's used in almost like a minimal way because I feel like when we get to that end of the series portion and after the Culling game, I won't be surprised if we have the rest of the series be strictly about getting rid of Sukuna. And I could really see that happening. And I think that's really where we're going to see some of the best of Sukuna's character and obviously some of his power. And I really can't wait to see that. And one of the things that I really find dope about Sukuna is how straightforward his personality is. And his character, Sukuna's personality is one of the best things in the whole JJK series in the world because he has a very, let's say, I like to say he's almost like a mad king in the sense of he's very aggressive when he's let out and he's like giving this notion of that no one is ahead of me or no one is above me. Everyone should bow down whenever I'm out. And he did this to Jogo, he did this to Mahito. Whenever he was around other characters that were human, he'd either kill them or either, you know, toy with them a bit. Like, it's very interesting to see how he's probably the most confident character outside of Gojo and at times Mahito when he was around because of how just he knows the things that he's capable of. And I really enjoy that. And to me, if you've seen Bleach, Sukuna to me reminds me of like a greater version of Grimmjow. And how Grimmjow was like, he was the king that wanted to just conquer everything in front of him. He was like in the proverbial big fish in a small pond. And with Sukuna, the way I like this is he is that shark that everyone is afraid of. And the fact that he's in Yuji's body, another person who's very strong, but let's not forget, Yuji can't keep him in there just so easily. Because when we get to that point where Sukuna is going to be, because I've been predicting this, I think there's going to be a time where Sukuna is going to be permanently like Yuji's holder or whatever. She's going to take over the body. And I really want to see that. Just simple fact is the notion that they have to go against someone who's damn near unstoppable when he gets his 20 fingers is insane. And then not to mention the interactions that he has with characters like Megumi, Gojo, those two specifically. He gives them respect, and I like that too. When he views people that are strong or that he kind of sees that has potential to be special grade enough sorcerers, I don't know if he really cares for the grading, but you can see that he likes that. He's intrigued by it because he wants to see how strong are they, probably compared to how the sorcerers were back in the day. And I think that's a really cool touch to him. That a villain who's like insanely powerful but gives respect to other powerful characters, I always thought that was a really cool feature to certain villains. Madara's first thing that comes to mind. I think he's just really dope when it comes to his personality. He's all around, he gives you that king presence, and I like the fact that they don't go overboard with that in the sense of he's not super royal or super stuck up rude, you know, like kind of making him a prick. He's just a guy that you don't want to mess with, and I think that's really cool. And I always thought king characters are really fire when they go into that mad phase, that phase of the king is going crazy, he's going wild, and it's really up to a group of people to try to stop, because no one man can hold him down. I always thought that was so fire, and I can't wait to see like him in his full form come to fruition. The whole him and Megumi kind of being fated to eventually fight. at the end of the series. I think that's just, there's so much that has already been built up and done well with it. I love the fact that it's not one-sided. We know that Sukuna is very interested in Megumi, has been and still is, and just seeing Megumi's growth and development, it's like the more it goes on, you can actually believe that he could possibly beat him, or could possibly take down Sukuna. Just a simple fact that, like, we learn about Mahoraga and the potential that has. The fact that we learn that 10 Shadows technique users can beat a 6 eyes user like Gojo, and Gojo it kind of telling Megumi that you have potential to be stronger than me, you know, that type of thing is like, it's cool, because it's like, it's not something that's like unbelievably, you know, like, oh, he couldn't do it, he's gonna need help, because even if he does need help, it would make sense, because Megumi is a guy who's not necessarily been against teamwork, but he's always been someone who's like, I'll put my life on the line in order to make sure other people, you know, don't get hurt, if that's what it takes. And him and Yuji kind of share that same sentiment. So seeing that the potential that he might either do it alone or he might need help to take down Sukuna, it's just, oh man, it's been built up really well to the point to where it's like, the more we get now is just, it's just extra at this point. That's just how well it's been built up. And then the whole theory that I've seen a little bit floating around, it hasn't been too much, but I've seen that like there's potential that people have looked into Sukuna's the real life Sukuna mythology, which I have too as well. And it's interesting, this theory of Sukuna eating people, which that actually, I think that is actually a real thing, that he'll eat people. He has a stomach on his a mouth on his stomach, and he's got mouths on his hands and stuff like that, and then on his face. Obviously, I think he has 2 faces. You know, if he actually turns out to be wanting to eat Megumi, because that's his whole thing, he wants to eat Megumi and take the 10 Shadow technique, because that's how he gets all his other techniques. That actually would be kind of cool, and that would actually add more of a fear factor to Sukuna's character, because now it's like, when he really wants something now, it's gonna add more fear to like a person like Megumi, because it's like, okay, we knew he probably wanted to kill Megumi, but the reason why, we have to stop that, because it's like, if he eats Megumi and takes 10 Shadows technique, that's game over. That's literally game over. Could you imagine Sukuna with Mahoraga? Bro, it's literally, that's it. No one's stopping him. So just that notion of the possibility of that theory coming true, I'm not really against it. I'm not really, you know, a theorist like that. I don't really dabble too much into them, because that's not really my forte. I like talking about just characters, give my opinions on them, how I feel they, you know, in my opinion, they could be a little better, or either how they're done really well. You know, that's just my type of thing. I'm like an opinionist, basically. So if that comes true, I mean, I can't be mad at it. I think that's one hell of a take, and if it comes true, I mean, hell, Sukuna might actually be even more dangerous than we thought. So, and let me know how you feel about that in the comment section. I guess I'll say small details about Sukuna is his fingers. I think the whole 20 finger Sukuna thing, in the beginning, I love how it's used as like a power measurement thing, and how when Geto, aka Kenjaku, was talking to Gojo, or excuse me, Jogo, fucking names, man, I swear, they were talking to each other, and Jogo asked, how strong do you think I am? I don't know if he said specifically in fingers, or I think he said in comparison to Sukuna right now, actually. He said, how strong am I? And Geto said 8 finger Sukuna. And I thought that was such a cool touch, because it's like, Sukuna only has 2 right now, and he's stronger than a lot of people still. So the fact that he said Jogo's equivalent to 8 finger Sukuna is like, it's a cool way to look at, you know, somebody's strength. And it's almost like once you get to a certain point, you're like, okay, now he's legit. If he got to a certain, like, oh, he's almost like a, I don't know, like a 12 finger Sukuna strength or something like that. Like, that's like interesting. That's innovative when it comes to like measuring how strong a person could be. And even the design I've seen of 20 finger Sukuna that Gege has drawn, with the 4 arms, the 2 faces, it looks menacing. And I think he actually gets taller. Maybe it's just me. He looks like he grows as well if he gets his 20 fingers, which I want to see that, just so I could see if Yuji eats another, because I think Yuji's got like 15 right now. If he eats another like 2 fingers, will he actually start to grow a little bit in either like muscle mass or like height? I want to see if, like, does he get any bodily like changes if he, you know, if Sukuna like really starts to take over. I really want to see that. And like I said, the design amazing. I think honestly, the whole, like, his goal being, his number 1 goal is obviously to get all 20 fingers, and they haven't said exactly what his goal is. I honestly think his goal is to just simply conquer Japan, like old days, but he won't fail. I think that's the thing. Because of these recent chapters that's been coming up with the Culling game, there's been this thing of Kenjaku making these pacts with people who I believe they said were on the brink of death, or they already died, and they come up with, and it came with like a pact, an agreement ahead of time. And I feel like that might have happened to Sukuna. I feel like while he was running rampant and he was really taking over, something happened. He probably lost. He got beat by a group of people, and he met with Kenjaku, and then they devised maybe a possible pact or something like that, and how the Sukuna fingers were spread out. And he maybe said, whenever you get all 20 of your fingers, you will then, be incarnated again. And I think whenever Sukuna gets all 20 of his fingers, his goal is actually to just, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets rid of Kenjaku, if he's not already gone, obviously. But let's just say he gets all 20 of his fingers. I think that's his simple goal. He wants to be the king again, but without failure and without people in his way. For example, once we said again, the Megami thing, if he feels like if he can conquer and maybe possibly take the 10 Shadows technique, if that's the thing, I mean, there's not many people that can stop him. Let's just say there's not many, if anybody, who could stop him if he gets a hold of that. And there's the thing, we've only seen one of his techniques. We've seen that fire arrow, which that fire arrow is, pun intended, it's fire as hell. Really cool. And they said that he has more, so I wonder what those other ones could be. Are they different elements? Are they physical boosts or something? Like, we don't know. So like, this might be, he's probably plotting in the background, like, if I can get these certain things, I won't lose the next time I'm fully out.